Hello everyone, I welcome all of you to this next lecture of measurements and instrumentation. If you see our last lecture, we have seen some more parameters related to static characteristics of a instrument. Under that we have seen drift, and after that we have seen errors like absolute error, percentage error, and after that we have seen one example related to that. Okay, and now we have to move forward with some new parameters like repeatability and reproducibility. Okay, so here let's start with this repeatability first. So if you see repeatability, it is the closeness value of a same output for same input under same operating condition. Okay, so this is called as a repeatability. It is the closeness value of a same output. Okay, so suppose previously you have applied some input and you have got some output, and just after that if you apply same input and if you get the same output or very close value of that, then we can say that it is having a good repeatability. Okay, so this is called as a repeatability. Just see the similar term with this repeatability, that is reproducibility. Okay, so here in this case, if you see the reproducibility, again see the definition carefully. It is the closeness value of the same output for same input under the same operating conditions but over a period of a time. So that is the difference in between repeatability and reproducibility. Okay, the two terms repeatability and reproducibility causes confusion as both are measure of a closeness to which a given input may be measured over and over again. So okay, but how to differentiate in between this? It is very simple. So if you see this repeatability, it is just nothing but for short period of a time or that period of a time, and if you see the reproducibility, it is over a period of a time. Okay, so this is the basic difference between repeatability and reproducibility. Okay, but if you see here, this repeatability, it is also closeness value of a same output for same input under same operating condition, and this is also the definition is same, but it is over a period of a time. But one important thing you have to keep in mind is it is for same operating condition. You cannot change the operating conditions. Okay, so there may be different physical and operating conditions that may be present while taking a readings, but you have to take care of that. Okay, so this is all about the repeatability and reproducibility. So let's see the next point, that is a linearity. So if you see the linearity, it is defined as the ability of an instrument to reproduce its input linearly. Okay, so it is defined as the ability of that any instrument that you are using to reproduce its input linearly. Okay, so it is a measure of a maximum deviation of the calibration points from the ideal straight line. Okay, so if you see here in this graph, this is the input versus output graph. Okay, so if you see this is the idealized straight line or expected output we can say, and the actual curve that you are getting like this. Okay, so it is showing you the maximum deviation here. Okay, so here this is the actual curve, and here it is showing a maximum deviation. But if you see the definition, it is defined as the ability of an instrument to reproduce its input linearly. It is measure of the maximum deviation of the calibration points from the ideal state value. Okay, so it should be like a ideal straight line. Output should be like a ideal straight line, and it shows you, or it gives a clear idea about the actual output and we can say the idealized straight line. Okay, so this deviation should be less so that we can get a good linearity. Okay, so this is all about the linearity. Moving forward, let's see one more parameter that is called as a range. So the range is the total range of values which an instrument is capable of measuring. Okay, so if you purchase any instrument, so this is most important parameter again, which shows you the range over which you can measure that value. For example, if you purchase function generator, then it can show you the range from which value to which value it can produce the different types of waves like sine wave, triangular wave. So it is in terms of hertz. Or suppose if you have purchased any power supply, then it is clearly showing you the current range like from 0 to 2 ampere, and the voltage range, DC voltage range from 0 volt to 25 volt, 30 volt, 15 volt, as per the power supply that you are going to purchase. Okay, so the range is total range of values which an instrument is capable of measuring. Okay, and if you take a CRO, there are again different types of ranges are there which are mentioned in that manual. So while measuring different types of quantities with the help of any type of measuring instrument, we have to see the range first. Okay, so this is our parameter which we are taking into consideration while purchasing any measuring instrument. Okay, if you see the next point, that is next parameter, that is a zero stability. So what do you mean by zero stability? Basically, this is again very simple definition. The ability of an instrument to return to the zero reading after the measured has returned to the zero. Okay, means what? It is ability to return the zero reading after the measured has returned. Means what? Suppose you are measuring something and you have applied some input, and the measurement instrument is showing you some value over there on a display. Suppose quickly if you remove that, your measured or the output should come to zero, and this is called as a zero stability. Okay, if you take different types of instruments, there is type of hysteresis error is there. So what do you mean by that hysteresis error? That we will see afterwards, don't worry about that. So due to such type of a hysteresis error, it is not possible to get zero values when you are not applying any input just after taking a reading. So that's why this zero stability is again very important, and most of the instrument is having a zero stability. If it is not having a zero stability, then there is an error. There may be some energy storage element present over there and they are not returning to zero. That's why you are getting output other than a zero. Okay, so the zero stability is again important parameter that should be considered while purchasing the any instrument. Okay, again deadband. Okay, so this is the range over range of different input values over which there is no change in the output value. Okay, so initially or primarily whenever we are purchasing any instrument, or suppose you are operating any instrument, it is expected that you should apply the inputs and in proportion to that you should get the output. Okay, so as per the functionality of the given instrument, as we are applying the inputs, we should get output. That is our requirement, or that is our application, we can say. But if you see there are some instruments which behaves like this. Okay, so if you see here, this is my, suppose this is my input axis and this is my output axis. Now from this zero I am going to apply the input with respect to time, we can say, and we are getting the output like this. Okay, so suppose I am applying the input like this. Okay, I am applying the input like this. Up to here the input output relation is linear. Okay, but from this point, from this point to this point, even I am going to increase the input, there will not be change at the output. Okay, so there is a change in value from this point to this point. There is a change in the input values over here from this point to this point. But if you observe this here there will not be any change at the output. So in this band, I can say that in this band there is no any change at the output, even if I am going to apply changes in the input. So that's why this part should be called as a dead band. Okay, so this is the range of different input values over which there is no change in the output value. Okay, and just after that again it is giving you a proper relation or proportional output related to that. Okay, so this is all about the dead band. So if you see this point, this part of this point, then this is called as a dead band. Okay, so it is again, we can say, not a good to having a to have a dead band like this in our instrument. Okay, so most of the instruments will not be having this dead band. Okay, but some instruments will be there where it is properly designed or intentionally designed, dead bands may be there. Okay, so but they are rare. Okay, so let's see the next value or parameter, that is a true value. So what do you mean by true value? the errorless value of a measured variable is known as a true value. Okay, so I think true value is nothing but the value which is not having any errors. Okay, so this is called as a true value. This is very simple. Then next parameter is tolerance. So if you see the tolerance, it is maximum allowable error in the measurement. Okay, so I think you are aware about this tolerance, because in first year itself in basic electronics you may have studied the resistors, and under that you may have studied that tolerance of the resistor. Okay, so tolerance is nothing but there is having error in our instrument or component, but that is a allowable or tolerable, we can say. Okay, but above that or below that band, tolerance band, we can say it is not acceptable. Okay, so this tolerance or this tolerance band is given by the manufacturer itself. Okay, so for example, if I want to give the example, I want to give the resistance example here over here. So if you see the resistance are having gold and silver tolerance band as a fourth band, you may have studied. So what do you mean by what do you mean by tolerance exactly, or that band? The meaning is that suppose you are having one resistor, okay, and it is having 100 ohm resistor value, and suppose it is having a gold as a fourth band, tolerance band, means that resistance is having plus minus 5% of a tolerance. So what do you meaning of that tolerance? As you want or we want 100 ohm resistor, but manufacturer is telling you that this resistor is having a plus minus 5% tolerance. The meaning is that if you want to purchase that resistor of 100 ohm from electronic store, then you may get that 100 ohm value, but we can't tell that, or the manufacturer can't tell it is accurate 100 ohm. Okay, so it can slightly become a minus or plus based upon the temperature conditions or other conditions or different parameters. So there may be a variation in that value. Okay, so it will not be actually 100, it may be less than that or it may be more than that, but there should be one range over that, so that we can predict that value. So that is called as a tolerance. Okay, so manufacturer want to tell you that I am manufacturing the 100 ohm resistance value, but I can't tell you that while using this resistance it may be having 100 ohm correctly, it may be something less than that or more than that, and it will be, but obviously it will be plus minus 5% range. Means what? You can get that value from 95 ohm to 105 ohm, any value you can get. Okay, so that is the meaning of that, and that is tolerable means what? Suppose if any system you require that 100 ohm resistance and plus minus 5% is tolerable, in that case there will not be any effect in the circuit's behavior or the instrument that you have constructed there or designed there. So in that case it is tolerable. Okay, so that's why it is called as a tolerance. And if it is silver band, it is having a value of a plus minus 10%, so it can be from 90 to 110 ohm. Okay, but right now if you see in the market there are accurate resistors are available. Even if you want the correct value or exact value, then there are also different types of resistors which are available in the market, which are having a 0.001 plus minus percent tolerance. Okay, so in such a cases, if you see the value of that resistor will be higher than the normal resistor that you are using, that carbon composition resistor that you are using in a lab. Okay, so this is all about the tolerance. So this is the maximum allowable error in the measurement, and it can be tolerable. Okay, so if it is not tolerable, then it should not be called a tolerance. Okay, then there may be a defect in that instrument. Okay, so this is all about the tolerance that we are discussing about. Okay, now let's move forward with the new point or new parameter, that is the hysteresis. So hysteresis is the difference between two separate measurements taken at the same point. See carefully, hysteresis is the difference between two separate measurements taken at the same point. The first is taken during a series of increasing measurement value, and the other is taken during the series of a decreasing measurement value. Okay, so here in this case, let me correct this first. Okay, now it is okay. So here and the other during a series of decreasing measurement values. Okay, the hysteresis is caused by the natural reluctance of a material to return to an original state after adding and removing a physical change. such as an increase and decrease in the temperature or pressure or another things. Okay, so what do you mean by this? So let me explain with the help of this diagram. So what do you mean by hysteresis first, that you have to study? So hysteresis is nothing but a difference between two separate measurements taken at the same point. Okay, so if you want to select any point on this graph, and at that point if you want to measure the value of that with the two ways. The first is taken during a series of increasing measurement value, and another is during a series of decreasing measurement values. So one reading is taken whenever you are increasing the measurement values, and another is taking during a decreasing of measurement values, but at the same point only. Okay, at the same point. So here if you see, so while increasing you will get a graph like this here towards this point. Okay, so here we are increasing the, we can say, input, and I am getting the behavior of the output like this here. Okay, so I am getting the something graph like this. Just to concentrate on this graph that I am showing you here right now. Okay, so this is all about the input versus output graph for increasing fashion of readings. Okay, but from this point, suppose I want to decrease this. So whenever I am decreasing the inputs from this, then I am getting the output like this. Okay, so here if you see, from this period only I have got the output response like this, but for whole this period I am getting the output response like this. Okay, so see the change here. The inputs and the outputs are here, you can clearly observe. Okay, so one is for increasing purpose and another is for decreasing. So it should decrease like this only, na? Okay, but it is not decreasing like this only. It is decreasing from something different slope with a different slope. Okay, like this. Okay, so and this is called as a hysteresis, which is present in the system. So why the hysteresis is present? So if you see the hysteresis, it is due to some energy storage element like a capacitor and inductor, which is storing energy and which is adding here in the response. Okay, so if you see here, this is called as maximum input hysteresis, and this is called as a maximum output hysteresis. Okay, so suppose if there is no hysteresis, then what will be the fashion of this readings? Then I can show you. If it should go like this, and it should return like this only. So increasing and decreasing fashion will be same in that case if there is no hysteresis, but there is hysteresis present in the system. So that's why here it is the difference between two separate measurements taken at the same point. Again I am repeating, the first is taken during a series of increasing measurement values, and the other during a series of decreasing measurement values. Okay, so this is all about the hysteresis. So again, hysteresis is caused by the energy storage element I have also already mentioned here, and due to by natural reluctance of material. Again, some physical changes may be there, like a temperature changes will be there, which may be responsible for this. Okay, so this is all about the hysteresis. Okay, so this is the hysteresis curve that is shown over here clearly. Okay, this is all about the static characteristics that we have studied. Okay, so I suggest you to please go through each and every point that we have studied now. Okay, because if you see, there are two types of characteristics that already we have discussed. That is, one is static characteristics and another is a dynamic characteristic. Okay, but if you see, there are n number of static characteristics which are present, and we have listed a bunch of characters over here, and we have discussed some of among them. Mostly we have discussed all the static parameters or characteristics of the instrument. Okay, so if you see the dynamic characteristics, this is the next point, that is the dynamic characteristics. So what is the basic difference between this static and dynamic characteristics that we have to study first? Because if you see the static characteristics, we can say that they are generally stable characteristics, which are not changing with respect to time. But if you see the dynamic characteristics, it is the set of a criteria defined for the instrument which changes rapidly with time. So that can be called as a dynamic characteristics. Okay, so if you see the instrument really responds to the instantaneous change in the measured variables. Okay, so you know the instantaneous meaning of the instantaneous. Okay, their response is slow or sluggish due to mass, thermal capacitance, electrical capacitance, inductance. Okay, like this. Sometimes even the instrument has to wait for the some time some time till the response occurs. Okay, so this all comes under the dynamic characteristics. So these type of instruments are normally used for the measurement of quantities that fluctuates with time or changes with time. Okay, and the behavior of such a system, whereas the input varies from instant to instant and the output also varies from instant to instant, is called as a dynamic response of the system, and the characteristics under the dynamic response are called as a dynamic characteristics. Okay, so generally it is very interesting. The dynamic part, study of this dynamic part is very interesting here over here. Okay, so if you see here, if you see the dynamic characteristics, these are the points which comes under the dynamic characteristics: transient, then steady state, then speed of response, then measuring lag, then fidelity, and one more dynamic characteristics which is not added here, that is a dynamic error also. That also we have to see. Okay, so if you see the dynamic characteristics, again I am repeating, here the input varies from instant to instant. Okay, so that's why it's called as instantaneous. Output also varies from instant to instant. Okay, here first of all we have to see this transient and steady state characteristics, and for that you must know what do you mean by transient response and steady state response. Okay, so this is very interesting. So this diagram I have taken from subject control system. Okay, so this subject you are going to study in next year, that is control system. So inside that there are two types of responses present over here. That is, one is called as transient response and another is called as a steady state response. Okay, so here if you see the transient response, for that let us assume one example. Suppose there is a system, and to that system suppose you have applied the unit step input. Okay, so what do you mean by unit step input? So if you see the unit step input here, at 0 its value will be 1 and it will be constant with respect to time. Okay, so this is called as step input. So at 0 the value of this input is 1 and it will be constant with respect to time. Suppose this such a step input is applied to any system. Okay, theoretically or ideally system should also give the output like this. So it is expected that system should also give the output like a unit step only. Okay, but practically it is not possible because there are some components are there present in the system, some different parameters are there which are present in the system. Okay, and if you see here, it is not giving you an instant output. So rather than that, it is increasing slowly like this. It is increasing like this it is increasing. Okay, and after that even it crosses this one, it is again increasing and it goes to peak, and after that it is reducing again, it is reducing from 1, again it will reduce like this. So some type of oscillations are present in the system's response. Okay, and these oscillations are present for short period of time, and after that the system tries to acquire the desired output like a 1 here. Okay, so the response of the system from 0 to the system's response which tries to acquire the final value, that period, that in between period is called as a transient response. Okay, and the period after the transient response is called as a steady state response, because after that system tries to acquire the desired output like a 1, but practically it is in 2% range, plus minus 2% range, and that is there is maybe some error, or ideally or practically also you may get that exact output, no problem. Okay, but this much part is called as a transient response, and after that this is called as a steady state response. Okay, so I think you got the idea about this. Okay, so this is all about the transient and steady state. Okay, so in next year also you are going to study this transient response and steady state response, but practically this transient response should be as small as possible. Okay, so then only your system will quickly acquire the output, desired output, and the functionality will be what we can say greater. Okay, so or good. So let us see the next point, that is a this we have seen transient. It is a part of the system which goes to 0 as the time becomes large. Okay, so transients are removed out when time is increasing. So that's why it is mentioned over here like this. It is the part of the system which goes to 0 as the time becomes large, and steady state periodic, or we can say steady state response, is the response of the system after a transients period. removes out. Okay, so that is nothing but the steady state response. The next point is speed of a response. So if you see the speed of a response, it is system's response to changes in the measured quantity. Okay, so this is called as speed of response. It is system response to changes in the measured quantity. So again, speed of response must be higher. Then next point is measuring lag. So if you see, every system requires its own time to respond to the changes in the input. Okay, and this time is called as a lag. Sometimes it is called as a measuring lag. If you take any system, it requires its own time to respond to the changes to the given at the input. Okay, and due to this lag, there may be some delay at the output, and this is called as a measuring lag or a lag. So if you see, there are two types of measuring lags are present or lags are present. One is a retardation type measuring lag, and another is a time delay lag. Okay, so if you see the retardation type, it begins immediately after the change in the measured quantities observed. Okay, so whenever there is a change in measured quantity, just immediately after that there will be a changes at the output. Okay, what do you mean by time delay lag? It begins after a date time after the application of the input. Suppose you are applying any input, and suppose there is any date time at initially there is any date time, then after that only system will give you output, and that is called as a time delay lag. Okay, so this is all about the measuring lag. The next is fidelity. So what do you mean by fidelity? The degree to which a measurement system is capable of faithfully reproducing the changes in the input without any dynamic error. Okay, so what do you mean by dynamic error? That we have to first see. So if you see the dynamic error, a difference between the true value of the quantity changing with time and the value indicated by the measurement system, that is nothing but a dynamic error. So again, it is like a normal error that we have studied, but it is with instantaneous quantity. Okay, so here if you see, it is a difference between the true value of the quantity changing with time, that is very important, and the value indicated by the measurement system, that is also changing with respect to time. So that is called as a dynamic error. So error with a dynamic input and output can be called as a dynamic error. Okay, and if you see the fidelity, it is a degree to which a measurement system is capable of faithfully reproducing the changes in the input. Okay, so suppose you have applied input and you have done some changes at the input, the system should faithfully reproduce that changes at the output. Means as per the system's behavior and as per the input, the system should give you a faithful output without any dynamic error. Okay, so if you see any system and the system will be and suppose the system is having zero dynamic error, then we can say there is a high fidelity and or good fidelity, and the system is giving you a proper output. Okay, so this is all about the fidelity and the dynamic error. Okay, so these are some important dynamic characteristics that we have studied here. So in this lecture we have completed some static characteristics like reproducibility, repeatability, linearity, then range, zero stability, deadband, like this, true value, tolerance. Okay, so just refer a book and see these quantities, just basic concepts I have explained here. If you want a deep knowledge and you want to do the deep study, then you can refer a book, no problem, but this much is, I think, is sufficient for understanding. Okay, so this is all about the today's lecture that we have completed this hysteresis also. Okay, and after that we have seen the dynamic characteristics of the system also, like transient, steady state, the speed of response, measuring lag, fidelity, and dynamic error, like this. Okay, so this also we have seen. So if you see this static and dynamic characteristics, okay, some parameters or some characteristics may be overlapping here. Okay, but if you see any system, these two characteristics of a system or instrument are again very important for us. Okay, and mostly talking about the static characteristics are most important. Okay, dynamics are also important, but if you see, there are n number of static characteristics present over there. Okay, so mostly the static characteristics are of more concerns while designing any instrument and or other things, but if you see the dynamic characteristics, so if you see this transient steady state response. Okay, so that may be present in the system, okay, but that should be minimized, that we can do with the help of some standard designs. Okay, so speed of response, measuring lag and fidelity and dynamic error, these are also very important. Okay, so in next lecture we will start with errors in the instruments. Okay, so we have just seen the brief of definitions of errors, but now we have to see different types of error present in the instrumentation, and after that we will complete this unit. Okay, so just see this lecture. Thank you very much.